COVID definitely made some of us more.
And we don't have Kyle's corny comedy.
Yeah, he's going to save it all for next week.
What?
Oh, boo. You hear that,
Kyle, boo.
Kyle's on Zoom back in Las Vegas, so boo. 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 Look, everybody on the screen's reacting too. So those of you who don't know Kyle Munkers is a manager over there at Rebuild Recovery, but he also brings us comedy each week. So next week, y'all have to just tune in next week because he's going to be really extra good because he's saving it up. So Kyle, get ready for next week. But yeah, we have Rebuild Vegas here on the screen. We got lots of people here at home, so welcome everybody. And yeah, since we don't have Kyle, we'll just, let me just, actually, well, you know what, the only announcement really, we just had a Run for Recovery. It was so awesome. If you were there, thank you so much for coming out and supporting. If you were virtual, thank you for participating. Those of you who are virtual, it was such a great event. The weather sure helped. It was awesome. So it's one of our big events of the year, and so it just happened. It was really, really, really great. So next year, mark your calendars. It's always Mother's Day weekend. It's Saturday, May 11th next year. So go ahead and mark your calendars down. Same place, same time, and it was just fantastic. So other than that, Mom's Group tomorrow, same every Wednesday for you moms or women, all women, aunts, grandmas, moms, whatever. You are invited. Every Wednesday, 11 o'clock, we have a 1-hour mom's coffee via Zoom. So no matter where you're at, you can take your lunch break during that time. Please join us. It's just an opportunity for us to get to know each other more, to talk about the topic from the night before, to, it's so nice just to be able to process it. Sometimes, it's just awesome. And it's just an opportunity to get to know you more. So please join us. If you need the link, you can use that.
I think we're on mute.
And we have an extra special treat tomorrow. Just hold down, I'm telling you, you just got to be there. We do have an extra special treat tomorrow for your mom. So join us at 11 o'clock. You won't want to miss it. Trust me. Just trust me. And that's all. That's all I got.
All right. I'm going to read something off my phone. When we started Battlefield, I don't know, 8 years ago. 10 years ago? I don't know, 3 years ago.
9.5. Well, 9.5. I exaggerated. 9.5 exactly.
Well, when we started with these team values, and we went and we used to meet, and all the team would talk about. We go over the values every group, and they really stood the test of time. So I wanted to tell you what the first one, the 6 values that we had were. Because I want to speak about one of them tonight. We understand value 1 was we understand a family-first approach is essential to the success of our clients. Value 2, we as a team battle addiction through raising individual consciousness and personal responsibility for the Big 4. And the Big 4 meant happiness, unhappiness, success, and failure. Having a person become responsible for those things. The success of our program, our ability to serve is based solely on the spiritual growth of our team. We are great because we are complete, transparent, and whole. We have integrity. Number 5 was we don't adhere or believe in what they say. And number 6 was everything we do must be cool. And we started that a long time ago. And I think the most important one, or one of the things that I want to talk about tonight was number 5. And number 5 says, we don't adhere or listen to what they say. And I think more than ever in our world, this is a time that maybe you should take caution about what they say. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I'm not none of that. But I also just don't listen to people who blame. If you blame the other side and you blame the other side, I don't listen to you. But I remember back in elementary school, as I looked up on the wall and decided what a good lunch was, I had to look up on the wall, and it said that we needed to include all 4 main food groups. And this was in every elementary school class that I went to, and it was up on the board. And that meant a healthy lunch back then when I went to elementary school was like a ham sandwich or a turkey sandwich on Wonder Bread. And you got like a milk, and then you got an apple, and then you got some veggies, and then maybe you got your snacks, so you got some chips or something, and that was healthy back then. So
sorry, they can barely hear at home. Is there a way to
still?
Yeah, 2 of them are saying that.
Okay.
Is there, maybe if we push that closer?
No, I can do that here.
Okay.
Here. I turned that up a little bit. Ask him if it's better.
How's that? Good?
Thumbs up all around.
Okay.
All right, thanks, guys. All right.
So then I remember the other one was milk. It does the body good. You know, imagine my surprise because I still believed in that one for a long time. And I recently tried to lose some weight. Somebody goes, you can't drink milk. I was like, why not? Well, all the sugar. And I'm like, oh, geez. Well, no, I can't. Whatever it was, sugar, carbs, whatever it is. But the ever-changing game of health. You could go to 10 different doctors in the health and fitness world, or 10 different trainers, or 10 different nutritionists, and get told 10 different things. Don't eat too much red meat. And somebody else over here is telling me to have an all red meat diet. Somebody say, I just eat meat. You gotta listen to Jordan Peterson. He eats meat and salt, and then he said claims to be healthier than ever. You know, and so what would make somebody lose weight, or what would make somebody be healthy? And then now they've even got into money. I don't know what they say about money. I remember buying a house used to be a smart move. Imagine my surprise when I'm looking on TikTok and they go, don't buy your house. That's so stupid. Well, what the hell? Why would I've been told for years that I can't pay someone else's mortgage. That's just a waste. You're just giving all the money away to the bank. You should just rent your house. Okay, shit. What do I do now? Oh, and then they tell us, with finance, they tell us everybody should have passive income. So everybody should own an apartment building. You're just stupid if you haven't bought an apartment building and have that making money for you. You need an asset. It's got to be making. Who's going to work? Everyone's just owning apartment buildings. Nobody's going to live in them because that's stupid. Nobody's going to. I mean, what are they talking about? You know. And so now you got to listen to what they say about finance, and you got to listen to what they say about health. And we're like Lucy with the football, with what they say. We're like dogs, just believing in every new trend, and we go to kick the football, and of course it's not there anymore. They're changing the goalpost. Now this is the very same with addiction. You know, in my experience, by the way, I've done a lot of drugs, so if my history gets a little off, that's because I've done a lot of drugs and alcohol in my time, and I don't remember very clear. But okay. I remember the 80s, and I remember in the 80s was cocaine and alcohol. I remember the 70s, actually. I remember the 70s, it was free love. Drugs were great, man. Everybody just does drugs and free love, and nobody had a problem. And there wasn't really even addicts in the 70s. There was just people smoking a lot of pot and, you know, some people sniffing a little cocaine. Then the 80s happened, and cocaine, you know, everyone was doing cocaine. I don't ever remember them speaking about people doing cocaine in the 80s as a result of trauma. I don't ever remember people doing cocaine in the 80s as a result of genetics and all, you know. Then they told us, and then, you know, 1957, of course, they came out and said that alcoholism is a disease. So now we all have to go by this, but that was just seemingly pretty convenient, because that's when treatment centers would start to pop up, and you needed to bill insurance. So if they don't call it a disease and the AMA don't classify it as something that can be worked under healthcare, then why would insurance pay? And so now they moved on to that, and you got to, you know, that's what they're saying now. And then so it goes along, and the 80s happened, and alcoholism was big. And I remember people just being mad at alcoholics. I don't remember anyone having much compassion for them. It was your old drunk uncle that just ruined everything, and everyone was just angry with him. There was no compassion. People weren't like, oh, poor guy, he has a disease. This wasn't how it was. You know, and the 90s came, and then they started talking about pain. They started talking about how drugs, conveniently, when the opiates came into play, and they told us that they weren't addictive, and they say these Oxycontin aren't addictive. That's what they say. And then we eat that shit up, like, oh yeah, I can take this pain pill now. And then the pain pills, you know, notice right when the pain pills came out, all of a sudden, drugs were from pain. They were no longer, it's because people like to party. They no longer because people drank too much. Now it's a pain reliever, and we're all taking them to self-medicate and pain. And then they told us we all had anxiety disorders, so of course they rolled out the Xanax, and everyone started popping those, because now they say we all have these panic attacks and anxiety disorders. And so I rolled with it, you know, when I'm doing drugs. I'm like, yeah, I got a pain, Mom and Dad, and I got a disease, and My dad, he had diabetes and congestive heart failure and emphysema, and he was about a year from dying, and I told him that I had a disease. I said, Dad, you can't blame me. I got a disease, you know? And then he looked at me and he goes, all right, well, we're going to take your disease and my disease, and we're going to go to a desert island. And I'm not going to bring my medication, you don't bring yours. And we'll see who makes it. Bring on your disease, son. And, you know? And so then I got sober, and you know, I get into the treatment world. In 2011, they say, of course, they told me, they say, oh shit, you know, for the rest of my life, I'm going to be an addict. I went in there, they told me this. I never had any other information from anywhere else, so I sat down in the meeting, and they told me, they said, guess what, man? If you don't work the steps, you're going to die. Not just like relapse, you're going to die. And they said, if you don't come here every single day, you won't make it. They've created an arbitrary number, like 24 hours. If you don't make it, it's like a ticking clock. Got to get to a meeting, got to get to a meeting. And if I don't get to the meeting in 24 hours, I'm going to blow up. And then it's like, you know, so I listened. And I bought in, and then I started to try to tell other people that. And then, you know, back when I got sober and I ended up 2 years in sobriety, I bought a treatment center, and then they pushed the next model, because you know what the next model was it's a biopsychosocial. So back in 2011 and 2012, all they talked about was bio. You got to attack it from a mind, body, and spirit. You got to look at people's environment. You got to look at all the causes that could be. And I still kind of dig on that one. That one seems all right, you know. But then Johan Hari in 2015, he wrote a book, and he called Chasing the Scream. I'm going along, biopsychosocial. I got to go to meetings. I got 12 steps. I'm believing all of it, you know. And then Johan Hari comes in, and he says, he puts out a TED Talk. And on his TED Talk, it was titled, Everything You Know About Addiction is Wrong, this asshole says. So now I'm reading this, and everything I know is wrong. Shit, I did drugs for 17 years. I know a lot about doing drugs and addiction. I've been in recovery for 4 years. Now this guy's telling me everything let me read it. And then he told us that it was connection. Never said nothing about trauma. He never said anything about anything else. He didn't say biopsychosocial. He said it's purely connection. And the way he deducted this was that they studied rats. And they said, oh, the rats that were connected and living in the rat theme park and rat playground didn't suck on the cocaine tube that had the water with the cocaine. They just didn't do it. And he said the rats that weren't connected and didn't have the playground, well, they all sucked on the cocaine tube and they got high. And that's what and then he told us that we should legalize drugs because Portugal did it. What they're doing is all right. He forgot we're in America, and once you legalize drugs, people come rob your shit. That's what happens. So he forgot all that, you know. So now I'm listening to him, and then all of a sudden it's 2017, and here comes Gabor Mate. And Gabor Mate, he did studies on trauma, and he's been working with ICE years, and he said all addiction is caused by trauma. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not, and I don't doubt. I don't doubt that addicts have trauma, and I don't doubt that you went through a lot, and I don't doubt that it could be caused by trauma. I don't doubt any of the causes. But, you know, so he said that, and then what that did was that changed. And by the way, is each one of these models, oh, I forgot, in there somewhere they told me, I bought a treatment center, and we're doing classic treatment. You know, we're taking people to 12-step. We're doing the biopsychosocial model. We got, you know, working on people's environment, working with their family, and we're doing all this stuff. But then they told me something. They go, oh, you got to get evidence-based. And I was like, so now I got to scramble for some evidence. Like, oh, shit, I got to have evidence. And I still today, how many addicts are out here, people that have suffered from addiction? Okay. Has anyone asked you for some evidence? Has anyone from the treatment centers ever done you know, and if the treatment center calls you and you're drunk and high, do you tell them you're not? You know, hey, are you doing good because of our treatment center? We'll get to you. But yeah, you know, so how did they get the evidence? Well, we had a drug addict in our treatment center. They got sober for a long time because we applied this method. We wrote the method down, and then a year later we called the addict, and we asked them if they're high or not. then we said, yeah, you know, on and on and on. So they came out with this evidence-based, and then now, in order to help someone, I had to come up with all this evidence. I had to figure out what the hell. Oh, you can't even get any money to help anyone if you don't have any evidence. What's your evidence, Art? And I'm like, well, he's smiling. They're happy. I don't know. What do you want me to say? So then here comes Gabor, and Gabor's changes the complexion. And with each one of these changes, with what they say, treatment centers adapted their tagline. In 2011, no treatment center that I ever went to was talking about trauma whatsoever. None. None of them were talking about any of this stuff. And then all of a sudden, the EMRD, the eye movement therapy came, and this stuff starts coming out, and everyone changed their tagline. I remember we worked for a company called Aloe, and right around the Johan Hari book came out, they changed their tagline, and it became connection, not control. And that was their tagline now. So the taglines always fit the current, what they say. So with all these conclusions about causes and solutions, it's amazing that addiction still stands taller than ever. It's amazing that it's withstood all these people having figured it out. All these people have figured it out, but yet it stands bigger than ever. And all these people have figured health and fitness out, but obesity stands bigger than ever. Just standing. And all these people have figured finance out, but we're all broker than ever. On and on and on. So listening to what they say has become detrimental. And what do? Well, what we hope is, I don't have any belief system about what causes it. I don't have any belief system about what the solution is. Honestly, what we do is we hope we get people to a point where they discern for themselves. You discern what works for you. Just like somebody who gets healthy discerns what works for their body. And they don't listen to what they say. They do what works for them. And so what we're trying to do here is say, yes, you do need some type of recovery pathway. But it's not what they say. And nobody knows you. Nobody knows your causes of addiction. Nobody knows why you started and became an addict. And don't let anyone tell you. Don't let people tell you why you use drugs and alcohol. The pathway to recovery is where you figure that out for yourself. Where you look and you see this is what happened here and this is what happened here. So going forward, I have to challenge other things that they say. And there's three that I want to challenge tonight, you know, and this is part of the treatment. This is part of like getting better, you know. I remember one of the big things that was going around when I got sober was people were discussing other people's opinion of me doesn't matter. This was one that people really had. The second one that people were really into was there is no external, I forgot about this, there's no external solution for an internal problem. And it lent to the fact that we were flawed, and we had this, I remember I was always told I had this God-sized hole in my heart, and that I had an internal problem, and that I was fighting demons, and it just wasn't in my experience that was what was going on. It wasn't in my experience that I had these demons. It was like I liked to party, and I took it too far. That was for me, you know? And so, you know, now I'm sat there, and oh shit, I got to solve this internal problem. But see, I challenge this. There is no or external problem for an internal solution. I challenge that. And I say, yes, but there is, for sure, external solutions to external problems. I know that. And maybe my internal problem is the way that I deal with the external. And maybe I need to learn to impact my external environment and learn how to make an impact on the people around me. And I don't need to fix my flawed system. I still don't know. I've been sober 12 years now. Still, I don't know how I was flawed. I don't know how I had a hole in my heart. I just was high. That was it. I don't know any of that stuff. But I had to listen to what people told me about me, and I had to believe it, you know. And so the second thing is other people's opinion don't matter, is none of my business. And I heard that a lot. And I would listen to that bullshit, you know, and I would start a little arrogantly going, I don't care what people think about me. But at some point I got to the place in my life where I went, damn, I care deeply what other people's opinion is of me. I care deeply about that. It hurts my feelings when somebody thinks low of me. And it really makes me feel good when somebody thinks highly of me. And so I had to come to terms with that, not listen to what they say. I had to come to terms with the fact that, no, I care about what people think of me. When I came to that conclusion, it allowed me to say that I could live my life for other people's opinion. I could live my life so people could look at me and go, man, that's good. Now, don't get crazy with it. And there are people that have a poor opinion, and you got to kind of, but I look at all the opinions. What would a chef be without other people's opinion? What would a comedian be without other people's opinion? What would a musician be without other people's opinion of them? What if they said that? What if the chef came out and he put some food on the table and the people didn't like it, and he goes, oh, other people's opinion of me is not my business. Well, you better make it your business or you're going to go broke. And other people's opinion of our parenting, it sucks. Other people's opinion of our behavior, we're listening. So you can come to terms with that fact and not listen to what they say, you know? And so all these phrases they told me I was an addict and I would always be an addict even if I wasn't addicted to things, and I must identify myself as an addict. And I bought into that, so here I went, schlepping down to the meetings to say, hey, I'm Art, I'm an addict. I don't say that no more because I don't believe that anymore. I can't, in good faith, say that I'm addicted to things that I'm not, that I'm an addict. I'm not. My addiction hasn't been out there doing push-ups. It just hasn't been out there doing that. I'm sorry. My addiction was beaten in 2011, and I'm not going back. And if I do, well, I'll eat my words. But people don't even know me as an addict anymore. So other people's opinion of us are none of our business, and you need to go to a meeting every day. And you know, first of all, I got to listen to what they say about money and fitness. But no, at some point you got to everyone get to a place with your family, with you as a person, where you decide what's good for you. You know, and I get the fact that some people are in early recovery and they don't know what's good for them. And to those people, I would say, and if you haven't been able to maintain sobriety, I say you should take suggestions, but you should discern. You should discern. And addiction is a cautionary tale. The best way to learn about what to do in recovery is to watch what people do wrong in recovery. That's the best way to learn. You can actually get some evidence there. Oh, I seen what that guy does. That ain't going to work. I seen him do that, and he relapsed. That ain't going to work. I'm going to actually have to discern and figure out what works for me, and not what works for someone else. And so all these other people's opinion, what people say about me is none of my business. And what is our internal flaws as drug addicts? What is it? What is this flaw you keep telling me I have? Yeah, what is it? Well,
Fear.
Maybe. But I wonder. And what is this? What is this hole? What is this hole we have? I don't know. Oh, then along the way, they say that Jesus was the only answer. I heard that too. It was the only answer. Only way people could get sober is through Jesus. Okay, well, I know a lot of people that didn't do it that way. I know a lot of Muslims that got sober. I know a lot of other religions that got sober. So more than ever, I think that what we have to do is get this power of discernment to actually look around and see what we want for ourselves. Like I said, we have families over and over. What they say is the drug addict has to hit bottom. Now listen to that shit. Where's the bottom? Where is this mythical place that these drug addicts are hitting? Is it homeless in Seattle? Nope. That's not bottom. So what is this bottom that people are talking about that someone has to hit? It's just not true in our experience. In our experience, what happens is a family requires somebody to go to treatment, and if they do it thoroughly enough and they stick by their guns, it happens. My father, who wants to get sober? 2011, I didn't want to get sober. why would I want to do that? That sucks. In fact, I remember in 2011 when I got sober, I was at a place where I was really hoping that my family would die. Because if they could die, then I could do drugs without guilt. And I wanted to be able to do drugs guilt-free and just have no one mess with me. And so I remember having that thought, like, damn, if they were just dead, I wouldn't hurt their feelings anymore, and I wouldn't do drugs, and I wouldn't take them on this emotional roller coaster. I could just do drugs. But that wasn't true. So my family required of me to get sober. They said, we're done. We don't care if you're done. We don't care if you've hit bottom. We don't give a shit. We're done. And because of that, they saved my life. They said, you're done doing drugs. And I said, okay, Dad. All right. And I did it for them. So the ones that, anyone that says, they say you got to want it for yourself, not true. Not true. You might get 60 days sober and start feeling it and liking it and going, okay, I want this for myself now. This is good. But almost everyone we get in treatment comes from not wanting to be there. Nobody comes happy. Nobody calls me from a penthouse suite in Vegas and goes, hey, Art, the hookers and the cocaine and the party is just getting to me. I need to come into your treatment center. Not once. Yeah. Instead, they don't stop until everything's gone. Now, why is that? Do people need to choose recovery, or is it people need to hit bottom? And even recovering drug addicts seem to forget that you got sober for some other reason. And we see it all the time. So even recovering drug addicts can get real arrogant and go, you need to choose recovery like I did. And then you'll ask them, what do you mean you chose recovery? Well, I went to jail. It's like, yeah, no shit. No shit. It's like saying, you need to stop. It's like, I stopped on the freeway. No, you hit a wall. You couldn't have went any further. So that's what happened to you. So understanding more than ever, I think, and especially with addiction, we cannot listen to what they say. The next tagline, the next model, I don't know what's next. What's next is their next, and I am not discounting trauma, because every time I talk about this, people think maybe I'm not. I understand that people are traumatized, and I understand why somebody would self-medicate because of that trauma. I do. I understand that. So I'm never discounting that. I'm just simply saying it doesn't really matter. You had trauma, you didn't have trauma. Guess what? There's something you got to do. You're going to have to not do drugs and alcohol. Your life won't get any better. And then you're going to have to deal with it. And that's everybody across the board. And if you had a lot of trauma, you're going to want to get sober, not do drugs, and then you're going to want to do some trauma therapy. You're going to want to talk to someone. But that doesn't mean that you need to identify as somebody that's been traumatized or a victim. You don't need to do that. You can just deal with what happened, and you can talk to people, and you can share, and you can be truthful. And that's recovery. So more than ever for me, I even was driving and thinking of this topic today, and I was like, Jesus, I still fall for it. I still listen to what they say sometimes. I still fall for it after all this time. And I had to remind myself when I'm listening to a politician, I got to remind myself, don't listen to anyone who blames other people. Don't listen to anyone who blames other people. And so when I listen to the Republicans, they blame the Democrats. And I listen to the Democrats, and they blame the Republicans. So I got to stop listening, because anyone that's blaming other people for their life and trying to get you to convince to be on their team, don't listen to that person. There's some discernment advice. If somebody's trying to rally you against a group of people, maybe don't listen, because something's wrong there. That can't be the problem. So more than ever, I think we need this our own truth. We need to find out what our own truth is. And I can't tell you, by helping you get sober, I can't tell you what your truth is. I can't say you need to do it my way. I can't say that to no one. You got to figure. I can say you need to figure out your truth. Figure out what's going to keep you safe. You need to figure out what's going to keep you from doing drugs again, alcohol again, and you need to figure out maybe how you got caught in this bee's nest, and how did it all go down for you. And you might want to take a path of of learning to do that. Your own learning, not what they say. So I think more important, this value that we have is more important than ever. And, if you listen to what they say, you will get trapped. A world of difficulty will start coming your way. We buy into every new bullshit thing that they send our way. How many parents come to us, and the number one thing we have to do first is we have to dispel all the myths. We have to take away every myth that people have, and they've been operating under these myths because of what they say. Some people, we deal with a lot of families, and some people, some people you can't kick your kid out. Some people you can. But you just can't listen to what they say. You have to discern, is this good for me? Is this going to help my kid? Back in the day when we first started this thing, we used to kick somebody out of our sober living if they were getting high. They would go on the streets for like 3 days and not get high and stay somewhere, and they would come back humbled and go, I'm ready. That don't happen no more. Ain't nobody coming off the streets humbled. Nobody. I'll tell you more and more, I don't deal with much. I deal with a lot of entitlement. I deal with major cases of entitlement. People that have not earned their keep, have not earned stuff for themselves for a lot of years. And I don't understand that kind of thinking anymore. How do you not earn anything for a long time but still demand it? Just didn't get that. So I think more so when we see these cases of entitlement, people that are just, and that entitlement feeds into lazy recovery. Because people think you're entitled to get sober. You're not. You're not entitled to get sobriety. It's not given to you. It's earned. It's something you work for. So, really, really for us, we had to adopt a no opinion-based, no evidence-based, but there is no evidence. No, nothing. Just individual. Everyone's different. And that's more now the case than ever. And so we're seeing it that way. We're seeing everyone's got to find their own path. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful to watch. It's beautiful to watch how you do it compared to how you do it, compared to how you do it, compared to how you do it, compared to how each person does it, and it's beautiful. So now we will.
Just all of a sudden.
Huh?
All of a sudden.
Man, we need to eliminate the food. You can't come, you don't get to see it.
Yeah, some of our people are not listening. He doesn't mean it, you guys. He doesn't mean it. Oh, they can't even hear me.
It's just not as good from home.
7:43.
You're not entitled to the solution.
Is it better? Danielle, we can see you. Is it better? Better. Okay. I don't know what happened.
So I want to take some questions, comments, and open it up a bit. This is what we do. We lay out a topic, and I'm not here to tell you how it is. I'm here to make you think. And that's it. And like I said, maybe nothing I said tonight is true. And I always say that. I don't know. It's up to you to discern. It is. And you need to discern. And you know when you feel truth. And if you feel you know when you don't feel truth. That's the thing I would tell parents. When you're dealing with people and people are telling you what to do with your kid, I would say, no. What you need to do is you need to figure out your truth. You need to figure out what feels right for you. Now that's very tricky because you might be lying to yourself. And you might say, but deep down inside, if you sit there quietly and you get real honest with yourself, you know when you're making mistakes. And you know when you're not. And what we do is we allow people to get a little bit of power behind their truth. Yeah, tell your truth. You think that's going to work? So let's roll with that. Let's do that. It allows people to get to a place where they can feel confident about their truth because the world, what they say, is coming in at you from all angles.
And how are you going to take it? You got this person. It's just like the health and fitness industry. You got these people telling you don't eat meat. You got these people telling you to eat meat. You got these people. I remember when I found out that celery wasn't good, didn't have anything good for you in it. I was like, what?
Who said that?
Well, then they told me it was like zero, nothing. There's no nutrition. It's like eating air or something. And I was like, celery, it seems like that should be good for me. They tell me fruit, like fruit, you can't eat too much fruit. That's a lot of sugar. I was like, fruit? You can eat too much fruit? How does someone even do that? I didn't even, it's all crazy. You know? All right. Yes, yes.
How do you communicate to a family member that is trying to control your sobriety when they have no experience whatsoever in integrity?
Yeah. Well,
How would you go?
I would classify, first of all, what that means. If you don't have sobriety currently, then it would be very tough for someone to try to control your sobriety. Well, if you had some sobriety and you got clean for months or so, and then somebody was still trying to control you, well, then we would have to teach you power, and we want to teach, but the people will stop trying to control us less and less when we manage ourselves. And yeah.
But then what if you both of them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I don't think people need to really understand what we're going through to want us to get help. I don't think people, I think that we have to see that people want us to get help, and that may feel like control, but I think that they're scared, and I think they're worried, and I think they want what's best for the kid, and I think that, at some point we have to, for me personally, I'm very glad that my parents controlled my sobriety. I'm very thankful because I couldn't have control because I didn't know how to stay sober. I didn't have the will to stay sober. Didn't want to stay sober, and I was addicted to drugs. So I was force-fed sobriety. I really happy. But I get what you're saying about hypocrisy and all that. Everything. Yeah.
It's just right. Wow. I mean,
Well, maybe you're in the right place tonight. You might be in the right place tonight. I don't think people stumble here, no matter how you got here, whether somebody forced you to come here or whatever you did. I hope you can discern truth and see that you feel it. That's what we're doing to say that all you had to do when you came into this room was truth, and you had to be truthful and you had to be present. That's all. You just have to be truthful and you have to be present. And it'll work. It'll get someone. You give it time. Truth is like everything. You give it time. It'll work. That reminds me, I remember, and I was always very confused too, whether, and believe me, I got sober through the 12 steps. I went to a meeting every day because they told me to. It worked for me. It did. They told me the secrets kept me sick, but then they also told me to be anonymous. I couldn't really make those things line up, and I got, don't tell everyone your last name, please just say your last initial. And, hi, I'm RD, I'm an addict, And I don't want no one to know, so please don't tell anyone on the streets. But by the way, I'm being truthful with my life now, transparent. So there was a lot that I just listened to, and I'll still fall for it and listen to what they say. So I'm not saying you won't, but I'm saying in this particular field of your family, the connection of your family, the delicate matters in which you're trying to re-collaborate your family and come together, do not just find truth in what someone says and follow that. Don't just listen to what they say. Who's that? We gotta call on people if we have to, but someone's to make some thoughts on what we talked about or questions. Or introduce yourself. It's the first time that you came here. Yeah.
We've got some new
Yeah.
people, and then new people that we haven't met in person. So yeah.
You know, I've always said there's a really strong case to be made for what is the cause of addiction. The strongest case that I've seen made for me, and the thing that it really seems to cause addiction is drugs. I mean, there they are every time, you know, drugs and alcohol. Sure, alcohol really causes alcoholism. Yeah, alcohol really causes alcoholism. Try to do it without it, you know.
We've got Bev at home. So.
Okay.
All right, Bev. Hi, Bev.
Hi, everybody. Sorry I couldn't be there in person. I wish I had been. I wanted to ask you, you were on drugs for a lot of years before you did at some point get sober for your parents.
Yes,
What?
and Beth, hold on. Beth, I love drugs. Okay.
Oh, I can't hear you. I'm sorry. You could be saying anything about me right now.
He said he loves drugs.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did your parents do that really put you in that spot where you decided to quit?
Yeah. Well, I had, you know, in my last day of using, I had took it was my birthday, and my father said, okay, you can go out, and I needed some gas for my car because I lived with my old man and my mom, and I took the credit card, Tyler, I took the credit card, and I went to the gas station, and I began to fill up folks' car for them, and then get the cash so I could have money for heroin and crack cocaine. And that wasn't a good move. You know, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And so eventually it led me to a place where my father was done, and he told me that I had one shot. He said, you got one shot with me for the rest of your life. If you don't do it this time, we're done. I am writing you off, and you're out of the family. And nobody in this family is going to be speaking to you or anything. And for me, that worked. I've always believed that it isn't love that is the answer to making people stopping using drugs and alcohol. I don't think that love is the answer. I think that the absence of love is the answer. When you get to a place where you're loving drugs and alcohol is all you got, and you're not getting the love of your family, and you're not getting the love of other people, and you're not connected to people. And I think it's true that connection is a good answer for addiction. It really is, except it's not on other people to connect with you. It's on you to connect with other people. It ain't on other people to love you. It's on you to love other people. And so we have to become people, and we're not baby birds that need to be held in some little baby bird incubator while we have a safe space. We don't really need that. We're tough. I don't find drug addicts to be baby bird. I find them to be the tough ones. I find them to be the ones that are powerful. I find drug addicts the people that are dynamic, the people that I want to hang with. That's what I find. I don't find fragile little baby birds. I find people that we've done our fair share of damage. We've done some shit to some folks. We've robbed some people. We've hurt some people. We've been mean to our families. We've said venomous things. And so we have to get to a place where we can get rid of that anger and get rid of those resentments and get ourselves to a place where we can be available for love, a place where we can be available to be connected with. And so I think that those are all good things. But I think we got to earn them. And I don't think we're entitled for people to connecting with us, especially when people tried to connect with us, but we went to the dope man. We went to the dope man. We went in there and got the drugs and got in our closet and hid from everyone. We were the ones not wanting to come to Thanksgiving. We were the ones not wanting to come to Christmas. We were the ones that were told we could go on a family vacation, but we needed our drugs. So, you know, all those things, and those are true for me. It might not be true for everyone, but that was true for me. Like I said, I'm here to tell you, I'm here to help you or hope that you want to find your own truth and what's true for you. But, you know, let's get some sobriety. And then we can say what's true for us. Let's manage our own lives. When we manage our own lives, nobody can control us. Nobody can take our lives away from us. We have to manage them. And I find a very good congruency between people that, what is congruent with everyone that I know that stays sober and reaches sobriety and wellness. And the thing that I see the most congruent thing, and it's within everyone, is that as somebody begins to get sober, responsibility level increases and increases. And you will see that in every person that's doing that pure recovery thing. And if you're doing it, you will see that you will become responsible for things like your phone bill, and responsible for things like your happiness, and responsible, and you will quit blaming, and you will quit with taking. You don't want to give away your responsibility. It's too important. When we blame other people, we become powerless. That's true. So now what I want people to gain is power. And you can't complain about other people and have power. You can't blame other people and have power. There's no power in that. You need to find power. You need to make a difference and impact your own life. External solution for an internal problem. There's the external solution. Impact the way your life looks. Make a difference in your own life. Don't be a victim to it. That is powerful. And I'll tell you, that'll fix a lot of shit going on inside of you. When you can make people smile and impact their life and change the world that you live in and landscape it beautifully and put it out there like that. And I think that's what we've given up our power as drug addicts. Demoralization. We have been victimized. We did get victimized through this process. I get that. But it's time to take your power back and not be powerless. To say, no. I have an enormous say. The other thing I see people say all the time, this one is another one. I always hear this. We can't control how people respond, what people do to us, or what people, but we can only control ourselves. I hear that one all the time. I can't control how people treat me. I can just control how I respond. I find that to be in direct opposition. I find that I have very little control sometimes of myself. And I lose control of myself, and then people begin to treat me a certain way. And sometimes I can't control my reactions, and sometimes I say mean shit. Sometimes I say critical things. Sometimes I snap at people. Sometimes I look at people wrong. And all the time, I might not have control. But I do have a lot of power in the way that people treat me. And the way I have power in the way people treat me is I become more and more responsible and more respectable. And lo and behold, when I act more respectably, I get a lot more respect. So I do have the power to control the way other people treat me. I do. Your life can become a symphony of people treating you the way you want to be treated, but you have to be looking at yourself. You have to check it out, man. So, yeah, Beth, a long way to answer that. But thank God for them making this requirement, because I didn't have the capacity. My mind thought about doing drugs, getting drugs, and that was it. That's what I thought about. I had what was called an obsession to use drugs. I was obsessed. And I don't know if any of you have had an obsession for alcohol or obsession for drugs, but maybe if you're a normal person, you hadn't had it, you don't understand what an obsession does. It means you think about something all the time. And what that does is that puts you way out in front of people. Because you're plotting next week's bullshit while else you're trying to figure out what you did 3 weeks ago. Yeah, you already got your hand over here. It's sleight of hand. Oh, you're worried about what I did 2 weeks ago? I'm screwing you over here. And then there's classic cases. And we have people that have been victimized, and people that do self-medicate because of that, and people that have really begun to to have life really fall apart on them. That's okay too. Now the question is, can you talk about it? Can you bring forth some truth? Can you do that without blaming? Can you do that with just saying it like I'm a poet or a historian in my own life that speaks in a poetry about it? And I can kind of describe what I went through, and I can put that out there for you, and you can go, whoa, that must have been really cool. That must have been really tough. That must have been whatever. Can we do that? Or do we tell the story like we're a victim? Hopefully we can avoid that. All right, next question. Next comment.
Want some interaction in here. If you're new tonight, we'd love to meet you.
And I think it's more important, if you disagree with what I have to say or you don't find truth in it, then it's not for you. Then please, you don't have to listen to that. It's not for you. Something else is for you. You need to figure out what that is. And we're here to provide that. Oh, okay. That doesn't ring true in your experience? Okay, well, are you being honest with yourself? Well, yeah, that doesn't ring true in my experience. Okay, well, let's figure out a different way. Let's take that this way then. We've always adjusted. We've always adjusted. Whatever works. There's the evidence. It works. Is it working? Okay, good evidence.
Well, again, thank you for actually acknowledging that you appreciate somebody disagreeing with you.
Yeah. I appreciate it a lot more when people do it. A lot of times I don't get the luxury of people doing it to my face, and I love when people do it to my face. People like to disagree with me on the car ride home. Yeah,
That's all
listen,
the
but
wives love.
yeah. So, the car ride home is a good place to disagree. I'm listening.
I think something that you said though kind of bothers me just because it's like this idea as a parent, I don't want to control my daughter. I actually want her to be autonomous and figure this out without me. That's the end goal. Your successes end up being mine. So figure it out.
Yeah.
If you don't like how I plan to do it, I'm super good with that.
Yeah.
Then figure out a way
God
that you
bless
can do it
Yeah.
successfully without my checkbook.
Yeah.
I'm super good with that. You figure that out.
Yeah.
Please do.
Yeah, it is really a historic moment in time. And yes.
May I say also, God bless you as a mother, and I think that that's absolutely amazing. Mother's Day yesterday, by the way, all of you mothers, God bless Mother's Day. I just had it was hard for me to have multiple miscarriages, so it's not the best day, but called every single one of my mothers, and you know what? My mom is my coach, and she's made mistakes, and we've all made mistakes. As human beings, we've all made mistakes. But that woman is the most incredible woman on the face of the earth, even though she's done terrible things to me, because we all know as moms, as daughters, as human beings, it's not easy to be a parent. It is not easy.
Okay.
But we did our best.
There you go. Thank you, Ron. Okay. Thank you, Hannah. Who we got next? Yes, Carrie.
Okay.
Please, somebody.
It's usually not a problem for me to speak up. You know that. So, we've been, last week or so,
Yes.
we've had some experiences. And again, every week you just seem to hit right on the button. A couple things, so there's stages, and you hit me on the bulk with the lazy recovery.
Mhm.
One of the statements that you talked about, you have to earn recovery.
Yes.
how to work through, what I wrote down, type, how to work through the shit with your truth. People are learning, I think it's kind of my epiphany, is people are learning through the early stages or through all stages of recovery, new skill sets. And I think that's maybe kind of where we are right now. There was some good progression, and with many things, you can stall out, and then how to figure out what new skill sets that you need to get the engine revved back up and moving on. And then the other thing you talked about watching and learning, and about how the clients and families talk together. You've literally set up an internal mentoring system between the clients and between the families.
Right.
To help each
Not
other.
by design, but yeah. it is a byproduct of what we've created.
Yeah, so.
I wasn't that smart to think about it ahead of time.
Evolution is a good thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the epiphany for me, is that there's fits and starts with all new things.
Well, I think families. I think something's happened here. Along the way, we lost, because of fear. We lost this ability to say our thoughts to each other, and to express our thoughts and what we're thinking. And I think some strategies that are adopted by younger folks and addicts is that they get real defensive, and it becomes this kind of walking on eggshells mode that families have to do. And families have to walk on eggshells around this individual. And I think it's crazy that we've gotten there. So we have to break through and like confront this issue. And the problem with parents is not that they don't know what to do. That's not the problem with parents. It's they don't know how to do what they know they should do. And there's a lot of fear about what I should do. And if I do it, well, how am I going to live with myself if it doesn't turn out right? And on and on and on. And so this thing has developed this real fear to be able to speak to each other. And when somebody gets sober, you got to start from the beginning with them and say, hey, listen, we need to tell each other truths without being defensive, without doing anything. We need to actually, we can't have this. And so an addict, we don't establish that. And then when an addict starts lying again or getting close to relapse or has relapsed, it becomes way bigger than it is. Because what it should be is, hey, I think you're using again. I'd like a UA. Something like that. But instead, it's this big, drawn out investigation that we're afraid just to say truth. And again, that's sad that we've gotten to this place. Luckily, my father was just not the type of person scared to say truth. He just wasn't. And God dang, I needed that. Because if not, I would have ran circles around everybody in my life. Right now, my father, when he got me sober, he had 7 months to live. Didn't know that at the time, but I got sober and I was able to spend 6 months with him while he was sober before he died. And he knew, which I didn't. He knew that if I didn't get sober, that I would own my mom's house. I would take my house down. I'd turn my parents' house into a trap house. He knew all that. And he said, he even told me, he said, I'm not dying until you're good. And, 7 months later, he was able to let himself go and die, and he wanted to die, and, he was ready for it. Thank God. Thank God he told me the truth. Thank God he did what he did, because we wouldn't be here, and my mom's house wouldn't be here. I would have got rid of that. I would have terrorized her. And see, that's how we can work as addicts. If people don't say truth to us, we terrorize those people. We push and push and push. And we get them pinned in the corner of their own house, locked in their bedroom, while we own the house. Okay, question?
All right, hey Jen. We got Jen, Elliot's mama.
Okay.
Hi, Jen.
Hey, Angie. Thank you so much for sending me the link again today. Hi, Art. Longtime listener, first-time caller in 2 years. I want to tell you, you look great. You look fantastic. So whatever it is, whether you're eating celery or meat, whatever it is, it's working.
Today was pizza. But okay.
Pizza, that works too. Not much has changed here. Still barking dogs at the door, but I just put them out of the office. Yeah, I raised my hand because I thought I knew what I was going to say, and now I'm just a little bit tongue-tied. Elliot's okay. Elliot's okay. He is still using. But he wants to quit, but he's kind of gotten it down to the point that, you know, we never see him high. He calls it maintenance, which of course is still dangerous because of what he's doing. But I reached out to Angie this morning, and I had to look through the Zoom just to make sure that none of the rest of their tribe is here. I invited all of them to join tonight because we just had a major loss, but none of them have called in. So I guess that's good. I can be a little bit more free as, you know, Mama Jen to Bella and Emmett and Biff and all of them. And there go the dogs. You know, with Elliot, we're now coming to the end of year 4 of dealing with this with him, and we've done it all. As you know, we've done what we thought was the right thing until we had that tragedy in April 2020. We did exactly what Angie told us to do. If he can never live in our house again until he's clean, and he has never lived in our house again. So he hasn't been here in 3 years. He's been to the big house. He's been to your smaller houses. He's been to other houses. He's lived in his truck. He has been to Cottonwood in Tucson, which pretty much wiped out a lot of what we were trying to do for our savings account, but that's okay. He has been with these damn dogs. Sorry. You know, he's done it all, and we've tried it all. We've tried it all, including just completely shutting things off and just being like, no more. We can't have a relationship with you while you're using, and that worked for a while. You know, and then he was doing better, and the thing is that the young person who had been living with us, who had been our bonus child that you'd met, and Angie I know had met, who basically kind of became our son, who was part of this whole process with us and with our family. He just passed away 3 weeks ago, and it turns out, you know, when he basically stopped talking to us, he left the house in November. He was just like, oh, I'm having some mental health issues, I'm gonna go find myself. And it turns out for some reason he started using fentanyl, and he just wouldn't tell us, and he didn't tell us, and we didn't find out until it was too late. And I was in Europe when it happened. I just got home at midnight Saturday night, and I'm going a little crazy trying to plan his memorial on Saturday. And it's kind of swinging us right back to wanting to cocoon Elliot, and, you know, and going back to what we were originally doing when we didn't know what to do before any of this happened, of, you know, the begging and the bribes. And I just don't know if that's really going to work either. And I don't really have a question. I guess I just wanted to share, and we're kind of lost a little bit, you know. And the thing is that Chris, now that I know what I know, I realized that probably the reason that he left in November and then like kind of ignored our calls and stopped talking to us, and why Elliot was ignoring his calls, because Elliot knew what he was doing and he didn't tell us, was that Chris knew that if we knew, because he was part of the whole process with us, I now understand that Chris knew if we knew that we would do the tough love with him as well. And I now understand that he wanted to abandon us first. And I don't know, what do you do with this generation that's so damn smart, and so they've been raised so much about, you know, you're autonomous beings and autonomous bodies, and you make your own choices, and nobody can tell you what to do and what not to do. I mean, I'm talking to everybody between like 24 and 30, because Chris would have been 30 in in June. I don't know. I wish I had a better story. I wish I'd be like, hey Art, hey Angie, congratulations, long time no talk. But I just I guess I just needed to call in and just kind of touch both of you in some way before I go back to dealing with catering and everything else for Saturday. So
well, Jen, I think that, you know, when dealing with someone else's addiction, whether it's your kid or whatever,
or my kid, yeah.
You have had the opportunity to do one, maybe two at the most, three. If you're a lucky parent, you have three. But you might have worked with three addicts. And you learn the hard way, and you go through whatever thing you're going to go through. That's a long way for me to tell you, Jen, that, you know, there could definitely be holes here. There could definitely be things that you need to recalibrate and tell us are going on, because we could help you. We could advise you on things. And never, everyone here, Battlefield is free of cost. It is a place where families can call Angie on the phone, use it. We do not get bothered. We do not care. If you've been part of the Battlefield family, our phones are open. And you can call, recalibrate, vent, talk about stuff, run some ideas past us. Whatever you want to do, we're here for you. And so I want everyone to know that once you've done a consultation and you've been part of this thing, and we know the whole playing field, we can advise you, we can help you, and please take advantages of the services, because we haven't dealt with 1, 2, or 3. We've dealt with 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000. And just think about being a parent. Would you be better when you got to your 1,000th kid? I think maybe you might be able to be a way better parent when you got to 1,000, you know? And even parenting, where you get the chance to like parent 4 or 5 people. It's not a big sample size. It's not much of a knowledge base. So, you know,
Right.
please.
The problem with Chris, though, is we didn't know until it was too late. We just didn't know until it was too late.
Yeah, I get that.
Know?
I get that. I was speaking generally about Elliot. And Elliot is Elliot is. We know Elliot. He's strong-willed. He's stubborn. You know. Just look at how stubborn these addicts
Yeah,
are.
he's stubborn. He's absolutely stubborn.
Tell me that isn't going to be good when you finally put that to good use. You know? Every parent, he's so stubborn, he's so manipulative. Sounds like a great salesman. This dude should be selling houses, you know?
I'm really, and again, like I said, I checked through the Zoom thing. I don't see any of them, but I am very, very worried about Elliot and the rest of that tribe this Saturday when we have the memorial. Especially Emmett too, because Chris was the person who found Emmett and got Emmett into the big house. I don't know if you remember that or not. And it's just, you know, and of course Bella, and I'm worried about all of them. I'm really worried about all of them, but I'm also so destroyed myself that I'm worried I'm not strong enough to hold up all of them on Saturday, because I can barely hold up myself right now.
Well, get plugged in. We'll sit with you for an hour or so.
Okay.
And you are strong enough, Jen. Yes, you are.
Okay.
Yes, you are.
Who's next out here? Deb, are you okay? Deb looks kind of. Me? Yeah. What do you need to say?
Listening.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. Who else? Is Casey?
We have about 10 minutes left, so all you new people, there's quite a few new people.
Afton. What's up?
Afton here?
Yes.
What? Afton.
Yeah.
Hi.
You know, Afton's a case of having a super mom.
Yes.
No, she really is.
No, she really is.
Yeah,
Paving some
Audra.
ways for some future
Audra
moms.
used us very effectively, but she went above and beyond using us, and she did not listen to what they say.
Mhm.
Not one step of the way did Audra listen to what they say, and if she would have listened to what they say, your daughter wouldn't be here right now with you. Is that correct? Yeah. Not even what I said she didn't listen to. She did not care. She was going to get her daughter off the streets. That was it. That was it. I've never seen a case so determined. You know, you're really, really lucky to have her in your corner, Afton, and you know, and I hope you understand that she wanted it more than you at the time, and you know that. You know, at the time you weren't as willing. You didn't want to give up drugs, but you had to for your mom, right? Beautiful. What a beautiful case.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I knew you were gonna call on me, I could see.
Well, you're an all-star. You know, a lot of people rooting for you. Well, you know, like I said, this pathway with recovery and what we've all went through, and we sit here with this common bond of going through, and again, I like it, biopsychosocial. That means that, you know, we're a product of not just our genes, but not just our mind, not just our biology, but, you know, also our spirit and our environment, and we equal, all these things form to add up to us. And, you know, so we don't know how we got here. We all got here differently. And the solution is different for each family and different for every person. And it's so unique and it's so beautiful when you allow for it. There's no way. There's no, this is the way. Because we don't know. If we knew, we would be solving the world's addiction problems and eliminating treatment centers across the country. But we don't know. We have to be here for people. We have to help them find their truth. We have to have you guys investigate yourself. Do a thorough investigation of both your complaints and your resentments and all this stuff. And then you have to be able to tell truth. You have to be radically honest to the people around you. Transparent. You have to be visible. And all that adding up to this beautiful thing of a family reconnecting. We add in some truth. We add in the past and talk about it. We talk about our resentments and how we're upset with each other for this and that. And we work all that out, and then we stop blaming each other and say, well, let's just talk about how we got here. And it's this beautiful formula that we hope to stand by, and it's just such an honor for us to be able to be part of it with your family. And that's it. It's not our way. It's not anything. It's just, man, it's so cool to be a part of it. And I look around and I see all the different cases and all the work is so good. Everything that's going on. So, you know, but I hope you take to heart. You start listening around and you look at the news and you look at TV and, you know, I was a business owner and they said, close your business and borrow this money. And we'll just do 2 weeks and we'll flatten the curve and you can get back to business. And they did that to me for about a year and told me I couldn't get back to business until I blew all the money that they loaned me and got myself, you know, a couple $100,000 in debt. And then my business got shut down. And I listened to what they say. And I borrowed the money because I thought I could believe in that. And so I'm not here to say I'm an anti-vaxxer or not vaxxer. I don't have an opinion on none of that shit because I don't know. But I can say that I listened to what they say and it got me into a lot of trouble. And it would be nice if I wouldn't have. And I would have said, no, I don't want your money. Just like I did with the, you know, forbearance on the houses. They didn't tell us that we'd have to pay that eventually. They just said forbearance. And they sold that out there to the public. And we had to listen to what they say about that. And everyone said, oh, great, I don't have to pay my mortgage. Oh, well, that didn't turn out that very good, you know? And so if you can't see the dangers of this, you know, and being able find power in our own truth and to discern and walk our own way and our own path. Well, I think that's the key here. So, again, next week we'll be on Zoom. Parker Olson will be kind of featured. We don't usually feature anyone. Parker's a unique case, and he's done a lot of great work, and we're going to feature Parker next week and let the parents, so you can come in and ask him questions about the program or ask him questions of what he went through and how he found his unique truth. And we'll do a little talk just like this one, but then afterwards we're going to have Parker interviewed by the panel, by the people on the thing. So please tune in next week.
And tomorrow, just a reminder, tomorrow, tomorrow morning at 11, all you moms, 1 hour, and that's on Zoom. And then tomorrow night is group coaching. So there are a couple spots left, and that's parents, and that's in Kent, in person. So if you want to register, let me know, because it's awesome.
And then tomorrow, and then,
Group
okay,
coaching. Yeah, everything tomorrow. Mom's group and group coaching tomorrow.
all
And then
right.
we fly back on Thursday.
Once again, thank you for coming.
Great.
It's an honor to get to try to help your family and stand here with you guys. So thank you for coming, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, thanks, everybody. Good night, everybody.